What's up, party people, and welcome back to another episode of NYC Foodways, your weekly food and culture discussion from the cultural capital of the world. My name is John, and this week's episode is dedicated to the mighty most deaf, who let us all know that if you push too hard, even numbers have limits. The CrimeThink Ex-Workers Collective is a decentralized network of anarchists who have been fighting for over 20 years in pursuit of a freer world. They sport a robust publishing imprint and are responsible for some of my favorite books of contemporary radical theory. One of their lesser-known works is The Contradictionary, a smallish tome packed with definitions, or I should say redefinitions, of hundreds of words. Oddly, The Contradictionary features a section of text not based on redefining words, but rather denigrating the work and worth of professional reviewers. This section concludes with the message that any review written by any layperson, no matter how poorly researched or poorly written, is sure to be more balanced and informative than the work of professional reviewers. Those who share this viewpoint are likely fans of Yelp.com, that vast online repository of poorly researched and poorly written reviews. I hereby declare war on Yelp on behalf of the entire NYC Foodways team. It's on. Would you crowdsource the best way to repair your carburetor from a few hundred self-selecting individuals whose knowledge of cars extends to the fact that they drive one every day? Would you take medical advice from a similar number of people whose training maxes out on average to knowledge of CPR? So why do we cede our meal choices and restaurant selections to the same group? The short answer is that going out to eat for most isn't nearly as serious of a choice as the maintenance of their car or their health, which is why the mass adoption of Yelp as the arbiter of taste is so unfortunate for those of us that do take eating and going out to eat seriously. We all now live in Yelp world, and thereby, for some of us, our field of expertise has been opened up to those entirely without training. Manhattan's Yelp world is a particularly sad, strange place where the following falsehoods are held to be self-evident. M-Star Cafe, an extremely traditional and extremely affordable Hong Kong-style cafe/restaurant, a gem amongst Chinatown gems, one of the most unique dining experiences in Manhattan and the subject of a future episode of NYC Foodways, is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that, "If you are not Asian and do not speak their language, look elsewhere." Hilarious. A Salt and Battery, downtown's only traditional English fish and chip shop, and a village stalwart, is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that, "I came at 9 o'clock and the staff was sweeping around my feet, singing obnoxiously and telling lewd jokes as if the place was closed. Relatedly, the place closes at 9 o'clock. Tasty Dumpling, a destination of mine for 20 years, and the Nay Plus Ultra of Manhattan's value meals with 5 dumplings for $1.50 is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust, an elite member, whatever that means, writes that she's not coming back here. That's it. That's the sum total of her 1-star Yelp review. Another chimes in with the complaint that, while the dumplings are good, the shop is cutting corners using watered-down hot sauce. That's right, folks. At the dumpling shop, where you can get 5 dumplings for $1 and some change, citizens of Yelp world demand more for their money. Quality of the food be damned." El Cibao on Rivington Street, a wonderful throwback Dominican diner of sorts with a diverse daily menu and $6 daily lunch specials, is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that, "The food is good, but they're slow, rude as hell, and don't like white people." Hilarious. Grand Sichuan, one of the best Sichuan restaurants in Manhattan outside of Chinatown and a potential subject of a future episode of NYC Foodways, is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that, "We're regulars here, but went tonight and it was closed by order of the health department." Right. Does that make it a bad restaurant? Does that make it deserving of 1 star? Or are your crypto-racist preconceived notions of Chinese cooking crossed with your clearly low-energy mindset spurring you to lash out blindly and anonymously online? Super Tacos, which you may have heard me discuss before, is rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust wrote that he stopped here while walking through the West Village late last weekend. The West Village is approximately 5 miles from Super Tacos. Wu's Wonton King, which you may have heard me discuss before, is rated 3.5 stars. This particularly idiotic member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that, "The manager was upset and complained to us that we asked for a table for 8, but 12 showed up. I asked him if we can just grab another empty table since they had 5 of them left, and he started yelling at me. Last time I checked, it was good to bring more customers to your restaurant, but I guess not for Wu's Wonton King. This self-entitled and victimized mindset is a common theme of Yelp reviews, and by extension, I'd wager, Yelp reviewers. La Caridad 78, may its soul rest in peace, was a Cuban-Chinese bastion for 50 years on the Upper West Side and will be the subject of a future NYC Foodways episode. Naturally, it's rated 3.5 stars. One member of the Yelp Brain Trust writes that La Caridad is a classic Upper West Side slophouse. Yeah, and it certainly was a classic Upper West Side slophouse. Why is this thought of as a bad thing? The aforementioned are just a taste of the poorly researched and poorly written takes on some of the most delicious restaurants in our fair city. There are plenty more, and though perhaps I should forgive the Yelpers for they know not what they post, I believe that, at base, the reduction of a restaurant to a numerical rating is in and of itself a flawed way of viewing a restaurant, as it flattens and elides many of the aspects of a restaurant that cannot be contained in simple numbers. It's an easy cop-out for those who don't really truly care about food to dash out a few poorly structured sentences, choose one of 5 ratings options, and hit the upload button. It makes people feel involved in the most disposable, temporary way. Whatever passing feelings you had about the restaurant are likely gone, but your rating lives on. How unfortunate. Yelp World is a generally toxic, frequently ignorant, often racist, and always annoying place where nuance goes to die. Fortunately, you now have a real source of truth to turn to in these troubled times, this channel. Reach out to me in any form at any time. I'll gladly steer you in the right direction, and I put my word on that. Never use Yelp again. Trust NYC Foodways. Peace.